Hi guys! Welcome to INTJ and INFP Coffee. Today we have Emily from Fukoki here to discuss if you're really an INFJ.
Uh-oh. I'm ready.
I'm really happy to have an actual INFJ here with me, so I'm not just talking to Alex about something in the air. She can actually share her experiences. First of all, would you like to please introduce yourself?
I'm Emily Barnes, or Pukoki, as known on my channel. I talk about INFJ stuff, but I also talk about other personality types.
First, I can ask if you've seen anyone that said they were INFJ that you'd disagreed with.
A lot of people type as INFJ just in general. It's really weird. My mom typed as INFJ and she's an ISFP. My dad also types as INFJ and he's an INTP. So it's really strange.
Next, I'll ask if you think there are some stereotypes about INFJs that you don't find true or that you don't personally fit into.
There's a lot of unhealthy stereotypes about INFJs. I'm actually an admin on a Facebook group for INFJs, and I don't really engage with it because I find it really annoying, even though I'm the admin. They try to focus on the kind of woe is me depression aspect, and basically that INFJs are almost always these monk-like figures in the sense that they're gonna sit and just think and contemplate, and they don't actually do things in the world, and they're not ambitious. And I've heard this from people where they're you're not an INFJ if you are successful. It's that's so stupid.
Yeah, I can kind of see that as a stereotype for basically all NF types, and I think what's unvalued here in these people who make up the stereotypes is that everyone has an extroverted judging function that helps them achieve something in the external world.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the things I hear a lot from people who may have mistyped as INFJ is them saying that they're very special. I thought that one was really interesting because I feel people who really are INFJ are less likely to make a big deal out of that aspect, the rarity aspect. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, do I have some thoughts? I do. I actually made a video about this. Basically, you are not a snowflake or something. Okay, that is something that people say a lot. The moment they realize that it's the rarest type, which I don't know if I even believe because it's statistics and I don't really trust it.
Yeah, same, honestly, with the statistics.
There's millions of people. Even if it's 1%, that means there's going to be millions of people out there that are INFJ. So you're not this little lonely personality type. And I do think that some people say they're INFJ just because they want to feel validated and they want to kind of excuse their behaviors. They just basically be oh, it's because I'm an INFJ, you wouldn't understand. I'm it's so stupid.
The caring about being a special snowflake thing, obviously that's stereotypically FI, and I can identify with wanting to be more unique. Obviously it's also related to Enneagram 4. It's not very related to FE, which, yeah, it's actually kind of perfect how you described it. We are millions of people. It's the same reaction that I have when someone types themselves as, say, an INFP and says, oh yes, I finally know that I belong. It's that sounds like the least FI thing ever. The whole thinking of yourself as part of millions of people, that's very FE. I also thought that the way that you described that phenomenon was quite TI heavy, and I feel TI and its importance as the third function is often neglected when a lot of people talk about the INFJ. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I think because of the mixture of, NI and TI, I think it does make the INFJ, just like the INTJ, seem very balanced. But the INTJ comes off a lot colder than the INFJ typically, but I feel INFJs are colder on the inside.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I have been thinking about that for quite a while, but I didn't want to go out and be you are cool. I'm evil. Okay, I've been playing around with this pet theory that, okay, maybe INFJs are the most thinkerly of all NF types, because of the higher TI. With tertiary TE, a la like ENFP, with ENFPs, they're still feeling on the like inside. While all NFJs are like very emotionally effective, it's like they glide in and out of social situations with amazing skill and precision. I find it makes them appear as like very warm and empathetic, which they can be, but the thing is, I don't think the INFJ's core identity is like feelings based, and I think this is like the one thing that one can use to type themselves as like an INFJ versus INFP is how personally attached they are to their feelings.
Yes, I think you really described that well, because I recently went through a breakup 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Oh, really? You seem so composed.
What?
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, I've cried a lot about it. But anyways, from that breakup, or just like in general, anything that's like has to do with emotions, it's like I can feel it. Like I can, for example, if I watch like a commercial or something, I can feel the other people's emotions, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I can cry from that. But when it comes to like stuff like that, like a breakup or like someone dying, something like that, like I can feel it in the moment, but it's like I don't actually compute it until later. It's like I don't really know how I'm actually truly feeling. And this doesn't always have to do with like negative emotions, but also positive emotions. It's like I'm not really in touch with that. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it.
Wow, that was so lovely. Like how you said compute my feelings. Like that's so... I know like that's a stereotype for like an ISTP, but people are like, oh, ISTPs are like this, and the INFJs are like completely different. But it's like, no, they have like the same first and third functions, and they can be quite similar. And the INTJ, which is somewhat similar to the INFJ, they are probably way closer to the bleeding heart emotional creature because they're outwardly using TE, right? So like people see them as cold, but then like inside they have like more intense feelings that stick more and contributes to more of who they are as a person, whereas for the TI users, the logical reasoning that's personalized contributes more to who they are as a person. They use emotions more as like a tool, or it's at least a transferative thing.
I agree. I have a lot of INTJ friends actually, and I find that in some situations I'm a lot more cold than them. I have both guy and girl INTJ friends, and like I see that like burning passion within them, and like I've seen their emotional side when you really like break down the layers, and sometimes that takes a while. Like, you can see it coming out. But yeah, I also think that guy INTJs can be very irrational when they like someone.
What do you mean by rational? Like
no, irrational.
Oh, irrational. Yes, that is true. It's cool how you said that it takes some time for you to process your feelings. Alex was kind of talking about this, that like each occurrence is like one SE moment or occurrence, and she only understands it once there's like a buildup of a similar pattern of occurrence. So say someone's like mean to you and you don't really know how to feel about it. She doesn't really know how to feel about it until like the person was mean to her like maybe like 10 times, and then it makes a pattern, and then she can process that.
I think I'm similar. It's not even like how I feel about them necessarily, it's like even how I think about them. Like it's hard to say, but yeah, I resonate with that. So, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it.
No, that's like, I like expect that from IDOMs. You guys are pretty good with the brevity. It's like, here's a thesis of my thoughts, one sentence. Okay. I think INFJs are most likely to defy the whole like super emotional NF stereotype. Because of the dominant NI, I do think that you guys need more time to process things. It's a bit weird because I think anyone with FE, they can be emotionally reactive in the moment. So it's like if I'm happy, you might be like, oh, that's great, and then reacting like that. But in terms of deep down emotions, I feel like you guys might need greater time to process.
Going back to like the scenario that happened, I mean, the breakup, it's like I didn't really know how I felt about it until like this past weekend, where it just like tore me apart, knowing that this person was in my life and now they're not.
I think that's quite a big contrast to the INFP experience. I think the best way to describe my feeling processing is like quickly, and it's like I constantly have a database of files. It's like really large file cabinets that are like infinite with like all these experiences, and then like my feelings about that or my judgment of that.
I don't even know how to react to that because that just it's different. It's different for me. I definitely don't have like a file cabinet of feelings. I don't even know how to describe that actually. Like about like my feelings. It's so hard to describe my feelings.
The file cabinet was more like of like everything that's happened to me that's made an impact. But since you mentioned, yes, I also do have a cabinet full of feelings, but it's not a cabinet, it's more like, I think SI is just like a cabinet, but I think FI is more organized. It's like things have relations to each other. Like happiness will be related to ecstasy and related to romance and stuff.
I feel like that's such a difference because when it comes to emotions, I don't know how I feel in the moment necessarily until I like look back on it. I have to like look back on the situation, but I don't have associations necessarily with things like as far as emotions go. I don't think, oh, this is a good emotion. I mean, I don't know. I do, but I don't.
Oh, that sounds so beautiful and freeing because I'm constantly judging my emotions. Like, this is a helpful emotion. This is not a helpful emotion in this scenario. And what kind of emotions should I be having in this scenario? Oh, I'm not having that. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. It's kind of a lot. This is gonna sound like so crazy, but it's like I was like okay at math and I was okay at physics, but I don't really place them in relation to each other. They're obviously related now that I say it, but my mind doesn't like place different logical things together. It's just kind of deals with them as they come. It's like you get this logical process and then it ends and then it's kind of like gone. Alex described it as a chain where when the next link in the chain appears, the previous link disappears.
Interesting.
But then TI, I would think, is like a structure that stays, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think TE was like the building blocks. And then like TI is like all of the little tiny things like intertwining, almost as like wires. I also see like NI as, I mean, I see it as a tunnel, but I also see it as like a web. It's like if a tunnel was a web. It doesn't make any sense.
All I imagined visually was a literal train tunnel that's like has a lot of spider webs, so it's just like a really old tunnel. But I'm sure that's not what you were trying to get at. I think with SI, when we visualize things, it's based on previous things. So when you said like a tunnel that's also a web, I just imagined things that you might actually see or I have seen in my real life before, but I think NI is way more nebulous with its visuals.
Yeah, it's not something that I've seen before. I don't know.
Maybe you can talk about SE versus SI next. Yeah, just because it kind of relates naturally with the whole chain thing, because Alex was saying that's how she experiences SE. Like, you kind of take into account the external and the concrete in the moment, and then the next moment is the next moment. Well, you keep internal conceptual things, that's NI, so there is like a lot of internal consistency, but for the objects and for the sensing and for the concrete stuff in the external world, it's kind of like, okay, I moved to a different room and now it's like a new. But I think for SI, it's like, no, it's actually such a burden sometimes. I have to keep all of those things.
That's so weird. I definitely relate, again, more so towards Alex in the sense that, yeah like, this experience after it's done, it's like, oh, okay, move on to the next. Especially like physical experiences. It's like in the moment I acknowledge it and I can feel it or like sense it or whatever. But then going forward, it's not something that I carry with me. There's a linear timeline.
That's quite interesting because when you say timeline, it's like those are the SE experiences that have been internalized into the NI grand pattern, and that's why you might remember those things. Otherwise, they would just have moved on. So I kind of relate to this because with SI, things that have some sort of significance, which is like a lot of things get retained into some sort of web. Yeah, like a web, like you said. But then with like NE ideas, like I constantly forget. Like sometimes I think I have really good ideas and I just forget them like 1 hour later. That's when I decided all NE users should just carry like a pen and paper at all times because the ideas will definitely escape you.
I do that as well, just having a pen and paper. But the thing is, when I have an idea, even though I write it down, it's like I still remember it kind of. When I have an idea, it's like in my mind and it's like, I have to do it. I have this idea and I need to like see it through.
Actually, it makes a lot of sense with NI and JE as a second function. It's like your dominant function is just saying like, this is the idea. It's not like that with NE at all. Like ideas are not that personal and they're kind of unbiased because they're external, so it doesn't really matter. Ideas have nothing to do with me, so it's like when someone's like, well, that's a bad idea, it's like, okay, like, but I feel like with NI it's you, like that idea is you. So with the second function being a judging one, you're like, let me externalize it like right away.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And actually, as far as ideas go, I think I kind of have my ideas close to my heart in a sense. So if someone was like, oh, that's not a good idea, like it's something that I would kind of loop in my head.
Oh, wow. Oh, this video seems so informative now. I'm so happy.
All right. Well, I don't know how to end it.
Well, thanks so much for watching, and thanks, Emily, for appearing on my channel.
Well, thank you. And it's been a pleasure. I feel like that's so awkward, but yeah.
So hopefully that elucidated more about the differences between INFP and INFJ. If you're by chance still confused, we do have a typing service that we offer on our website, cognitive8.com, and you can always support our work on patreon.com. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
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 Bye. Here's my dog. I'm gonna put him, oh my gosh, Henry. Like if TI was like these building blocks kind of, maybe it's like he is a very big cat.
Whoa.
He's a Maine Coon.
Whoa, that is big. Oh, so cute.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Garfield.